Hello and welcome to On the Spot with OPPO, where we connect you with inspiring entrepreneurs and innovators who made their mark. Here we are in Bali, hosting our exclusive Finance Club event for the Finex 8 series launch. We have with us Gordon Toh. Welcome to Bali. Can you give our audience your best elevator pitch about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So firstly, thank you very much, Danny, as well as OPPO Group for bringing me here to beautiful Bali. Really love Bali, of course. I'm Singaporean, and I've grown up in Singapore for the last 30 over years. Professionally, I work in tech and media. So I've been in tech for over a decade now, and basically I run a company called Cosmose Media, where I'm the chief commercial officer over there, but also I'm the co-founder of the other part of the company as well, called KAIKAI, which maybe we can go a little bit into it in a moment. In terms of interests, I love to play football, love music. It's definitely something that media and tech is encompassing. And again, very, very happy to be here.
Good. I feel like I know you better now. Yeah, I'm eager to get into our conversation. But before we do so, I'd love to hear how has the event been for you and how are you finding the OPPO Finex 8 Pro?
Yeah, the event has been really interesting for me. I do come to Bali quite often, but very seldom I would be able to be spending a week with professionals from different fields. We had great conversations about business, about mental health, about different things that's happening in the world as well. I think that's great. But also at the same time, we talk about the experiencing of the new OPPO phone. Really impressed, to be honest. And I mean, the feel, the look, the innovation is pretty awesome. Yeah. So far so good. Looking forward to the rest of the trip as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you're enjoying it as much as I do. You mentioned that you work at KAIKAI. Can you tell me what KAIKAI is about and what is its scope?
Together with the team, the Cosmos team as well, we created KAIKAI in 2021, actually, right? In the height of the pandemic, if you guys remember those days. KAIKAI, in Mandarin actually means opening up, like KAIKAI, like opening up.
KAIKAI.
And also it has a little bit of a Singaporean twang to it. So if in Singapore, if you say KAIKAI, it means going out for a date, going out for shopping, something like that. So we wanted people to kind of open up in terms of from after the pandemic, but also at the same time, they can go out. So we created an e-commerce app in Singapore that focuses on omni-channel. As the years went by, we decided that we wanted to expand a little bit. So we went into the content side of things in itself. So we created great content. We like to think that is great. But we also collaborate with the top publishers around the world. In Indonesia, for example, we work with the likes of Tempo. We work with the likes of Idea and Times and so on and so forth. And in different parts of the world, we work with great publishers as well, such as Forbes, etc., to provide phenomenal and credible content to users, but also very niche ones to ensure that there's a kind of sliver of the pie for everybody.
So I've been told KAIKAI is an OPPO partner. Can you maybe share how that is like, what you guys collaborate in, and what was the result of the partnership?
Yeah, I think our collaboration with OPPO has been nothing short of fantastic. And it goes with a lot of measure, to be honest. We have been working with OPPO for a couple of years now, and we've learned a lot from our partnership. We learned a lot about users around the world, languages, cultures, but also at the same time, right, we've taken that internally to, really improve ourselves in terms of the content, the UI, UX, things like that. And really happy that we were able to also win some awards with OPPO, right, such as the most promising partner at ODC. So really happy about that. We hope to be able to strive for more in the coming years. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like a huge achievement.
Thank you. We take every little ones and big ones together, and hopefully everything adds up to big things to come. Yeah.
Okay, that's an achievement, but Gordon, I'm sure with every partnership, not everything is going to be all rosy and pretty.
Yeah.
What are some of the main challenges working with this partnership?
Yeah, I think the good news was that actually there was more good things than things that were not so good, I would say.
Yeah.
But we obviously want to learn, and I think both sides have a very good level of humility to want to really partner and bring things to the next level, right? So firstly, in terms of what we are doing with OPPO, it's pretty global, right? We have users in Latin America, Southeast Asia, Europe, different parts of the world essentially.
Yep.
So that comes across with different cultures that we need to really adapt to. to ensure that not only are the users happy, but it will align generally with what OPPO wants to do as a group as well. That's number one. Number two, of course, we want to ensure that the UI UX, right, of what we are providing would be seamless. It's going to be fully integrated into the larger scheme of the OPPO phone. But also at the same time, right, we want to, there's a fine balance between, what you are showing, how you optimize it for people's best level of interest to, the usability of the phone. Yeah. So those are parts whereby we always fine tune, and different countries comes with different challenges as well. So that's something that we have improved significantly. And I suppose, like, last but not least, really is the type of speed we're going at, right? So initially we started working on the lock screen magazine, which is something that is really, really cool. I'll talk a little bit about that later on. It's actually here, right? So basically, when you are on the lock screen, we basically provide the beautiful, aesthetically pleasing images. And when you're interested, you can actually go into any of these articles or videos, and you can consume the content, right? And the idea really is for you to, as you go along your entire day, to be inspired by content that you are interested in. So users would be able to actually choose what they like food or sports or music or beauty. And this is dynamically changed as well.
Yeah. And thanks for showing that. I didn't know the lock screen magazine was part of your partnership.
Yeah, I mean, we probably have like a good chunk of users that's using us, which we are very happy about because people are enjoying it. But beyond the lock screen magazine, we also have obviously started to work with OPPO in other scenarios as well, like different kind of content, right? Short form, long form video, social media, things like that, even some games as well. So these are things that we look forward to integrate much better to ensure the entire user journey is going to be again, right, to your question, it's definitely not going to be like super smooth sailing all the way, but we will need to iterate as we go along.
Continuous improvement.
Absolutely.
Everything
that you do.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of our viewers are they want to start their own company. Like, do you have like an advice that you can give to them for someone who's trying to follow your footsteps by creating a successful brand, successful company?
Yeah, it's a great question, Daniel. And I wish I could tell everybody I know exactly what to do, but the honest truth is that I don't know everything. And I think that's something that you firstly have to have the mindset, right? You need to be firstly really curious, be in a room whereby probably you are not the smartest guy or the most well-connected guy, because eventually, right, you expand your circle, you learn more, right? But if I may put it into a few simple things, would be number one, you need to be highly adaptable to changing environments, economies, what's going to happen. You don't know when the next pandemic, touch wood, would happen. Number two, I think you need to have a proper vision, right? Vision and blueprint is very important, that everybody in your team, in your company is going to really buy into. That's super important. Of course, you could change certain directions along the way, but the end goal is going to be really important. Thirdly, I would say focus on team culture, ensuring that people would feel at home, and they will basically be backed by you as the leader, and lead from the front. This kind of like how you got to do it in itself.
Wow, it's very insightful, and I'm sure with your long tenure of experiences, you've come a long way, right?
I would hope so. Yeah, I would hope so. Like I'm pretty glad where we have brought the company to, my personal growth as well. But certainly there's so much a longer way to go, and we look forward to that very much.
Yeah. It's a marathon.
Yep, it absolutely is. Well, you got to sprint sometimes. You got to cool down sometimes as well.
I really like a saying, brake to accelerate.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But you know what? Like it's kind of like on a bicycle. You need to keep going. The moment you slow down too much, you stop, that's where it topples. So you got to keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And this brings us to my next question is like tech is ever changing, and it's like now everyone's talking about AI, and it's coming out in every part of our life. And KAIKAI, how is this impacting you guys?
Yeah, I mean, like the company that kind of like has our group basically is called Cosmose AI actually. So we have been doing artificial intelligence with some of the best engineers, data scientists, etc. in the world for the past decade. And we are very happy to be able to see how AI has grown. Something that is just, looking at data, machine learning, feedback loop, to everything that we have today. We talk about ChatGPT. Most people are using it now in, a lot of places. So for us, we think about it in this way, right? We already have a lot of different type of AI. So generative AI is certainly part of it. So for example, you want to create like a new picture, new video, like somebody take a photo, you are in a different kind of avatar. That's something we already do. But also predictive AI, right? Which is basically being able to understand, right, what people would like before, it actually happens, or predicting what's going to happen, right? So after the fact. It's in the past, but how can we ensure that people are able to be more exploratory? So I think a lot of the AI stuff, which will come in, fast and quick in the next, few years, people might have a fear to it as a user, myself included, because there's this mindset that it would be exploitative. The goal of Cosmos and KAIKAI is to ensure that we are the leader and the very forefront runner to make AI more exploratory, whereby users, right, the everyday Joe, everyday guy, wherever you are, would have much more control in terms of what you can consume, what you want to do, how you actually manage your different data sets in a way whereby AI can really come into it to assist that particular person rather than create certain things to sell them, for example.
Wow, sounds like you guys are really on the forefront.
We hope so. We hope so. We hope so, and it is a very romanticized kind of feeling for a lot of companies, but we certainly getting our hands very dirty to ensure that things come out very clean at the end of the day.
Makes sense. And we've covered a lot about what you do at KAIKAI, but we're here in Bali and well-being just comes into mind. What do you do to keep your personal life and your work-life balance to guarantee your mental health?
Yeah, you know what, like for a lot of parts of the world, people carry, this thing called the mobile phone all over, right? We do morning calling and WhatsApp and WeChat and all these things nowadays, right? We buy stuff, we do ride hailing, so on and so forth. So to be away from tech, it's almost not possible, right? You have to be intentional. So I think that's very important. So I told myself that some years ago that I need to be intentional with tech, whether is it like social media or is it gadgets and whatnot. So every single day I have a schedule. When I wake up, I would practice some level of mindfulness, breathing exercises for not too long, it's 10 minutes. It helps me to really start the day well. And then I brush my teeth and all that. Towards the end of my day, I would actually have a gym session that I would do a workout session.
Oh, wow.
For me, works out for me. A lot of people do it in the morning, but my schedule is a bit funny, so I do it at night before I sleep.
Okay.
And that helps me a lot to ensure that both my mind, my body goes very, very well. And in between, of course, during lunchtime, often than not, I like to go on walks. The one in lunchtime, I use tech, so I will listen to like a podcast of sorts.
Oh, wow.
I'll walk for maybe 30 minutes, but I see like nature, right? Seeing things at the outside. So I don't only just connect with the tech, right? I also connect to the environment. So to me, at least that works very well for me. And I know other people does like other kind of stuff, but for me, that's has been working pretty well.
So in the upcoming weeks, you're gonna listen to your own podcast.
Maybe, maybe once,
yeah. And you mentioned you have like a home gym setup.
I do have a home gym setup. It was not easy to create a home gym because in Singapore the houses and the apartments are small, right? Yeah. But as I mentioned to you, we gotta be intentional and mindful. And the moment you have that, you'll find ways to kind of like ensure that it fits into your life, right? So for me, I know I can't go to a gym, like a commercial gym all the time because I don't have the time, right? So before I sleep, I would park maybe 1.5 hours to do a gym, and then I don't need a lot of things, right? So just set up that way, and then put yourself in success mode, basically.
Yeah. That makes sense. So you're very resourceful, I guess. Yeah. And circling around well-being, do you think tech companies have an increased responsibility in finding ways to ensure the mental well-being of those who use their products?
Absolutely. I think the back in the past, right? And it's not so long ago, right? We always talk about social media companies like Meta, X, even like some of the newer ones like TikTok and all that. Well, not so new anymore, right? But it's super hot, right? Yeah. Like they have a big responsibility because it can drive people down the rabbit hole and so on and so forth. I do think that it's not only with the social media companies, it also is to everything across upstream, downstream as well. We need to make sure that there's a good level for users to be able to choose what they like constantly, and they can change it. They can opt out any point in time. So that's how the lock screen works as an example. And the other ecosystems, you can choose, you can change up just by clicking a few buttons over here.
Okay.
But also at the same time, right, the things that come out should not include things that are violent and so on and so forth, right? Those type of topics. Also, at the same time, I think that as a tech company of sorts, you certainly need to have the highest level of security clearance. So, for example, at Cosmose, we have like the latest and highest level of security clearance called ISO 27001. And we, of course, align very well with OPPO's security and data privacy standards as well. Yeah, so those are very important things. You put those things in play, and your company, your employees know what's going to happen. Product team knows what's going to happen. We will create a product, but also at the same time, getting feedback from users, super important. And of course, like some people might complain or say this and that, but overall, we need to get a very good yardstick in terms of what is working, what's not working, and putting the user at the center of everything.
Wow. That sounds like a very complicated process.
Complex, and everything, different languages, cultures, everything. But it is so important that I would say to be in tech today, you need to have that mindset. It's no longer, back in old days, right?
Yeah.
Let's create anything. These days, people are much more educated, informed, all over the world. Right? And we want to make sure that as we move forward, new things get iterated. There's AI, ChatGPT, all these kind of things, right? People would have control over what they want and what they don't want. And
Exactly.
this is only going to bring us forward.
Exactly. And with that, Gordon, thank you so much for joining us and giving us very valuable insights. Once again, I hope you enjoyed this session on the spot with OPPO. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure. Thanks, guys.